Hello, Master Duelists and Master Fools. Welcome to Pretty Good Decks, the series where I show you a non-meta deck that can get you through gold and into platinum and beyond. Branded has finally appeared in Master Duel, and it's one of the most powerful fusion archetypes ever printed, until we get Tier Elements in a couple of months. And with it has also come the new support for Blue Eyes White Dragon. And unlike normal DM era nostalgia bait cards, these cards are actually worth playing. It also just so happens to be a light fusion-based archetype, so it of course can find a home inside Branded. I present to you Branded with Eyes of Blue. So here's the deck. Branded as a deck is focused around fusion summoning powerful monsters using the monster Fallen of Albaz as material. To do this, it uses the powerful fusion spell Branded Fusion, which allows you to send the materials from deck to grave. Because of the generic nature of one half of the materials of every branded fusion monster, this allows you to send all sorts of silly things from deck to grave. Additionally, two of the fusion monsters can also do fusion summons with some of the same materials as those you used to make them, letting you make the powerful boss monsters, summon some extra bodies, and recycle your resources all at the same time. Then we have Blue Eyes, the famous anime card turned archetype straight from Kaiba's deck. This archetype's kind of all over the place, but these days it generally focuses on fusion summoning the biggest bunguses in the game to go for massive damage. In 2016, however, there was a large focus on using the titular Blue Eyes White Dragon and several level 1 tuners in order to make powerful level 9 synchro monsters with amazing effects for the time. These tuners include eggs that help you get the card itself, and a bunch of worshippers that we're actually not going to deal with at all. Now, the most recent support has given us some very important cards for this list specifically, Dictator of D being one of them, the latest funny retrain for Lord of D, amazing names by the way, which allows us to get Blue Eyes into the grave and also summons itself and also summons the Blue Eyes if you have the materials for it. And additionally, if you control a Blue Eyes monster, you get to choose your opponent's attack targets, an effect that seems kind of bad, but later you'll realize how powerful it really is. Ultimate Fusion is the new fusion spell for Blue Eyes. It's a quick play that lets us fusion summon any fusion monster that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon as its materials by shuffling the materials back into the deck. It also lets us destroy face-up cards equal to the number of Blue Eyes on field that were used for the summon, or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon is a new fusion monster that is made very easily compared to the other ones. It is able to attack all your opponent's monsters once each with its 3,400 attack. It's unaffected by traps, and it can send a trap card in your grave to the field, although we're not going to be doing that. We're not going to be setting Branded Sword anytime soon. Then we have Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, perhaps one of the best cards in here. This card protects all other cards on the field from destruction while it's on the field, taking one for the team. When cards are destroyed, it gets to summon itself from the hand or graveyard, although you can't activate it when it gets destroyed. It has to already be in the grave, so you can't infinitely loop it, although if you have two of them, they can infinitely loop with each other. And lastly, if you get to attack with this 3k guy that very easily gets to the field, you can bounce a card your opponent controls to the hand, so it has extra card advantage there. These cards are all very powerful, and the resource loop of Blue Eyes with these powerful cards make a great addition to the Branded lineup. Let's do a card by card. Starting, of course, with the Master Duel attacks, we have 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Max C, please ban. Now, let's address the size of the deck and the Frightfur Patchwork engine. The deck is 45 cards. The theory behind this is that there's a lot of bricks in the deck, and we're trying to dilute them slightly with cards that are live engine if drawn. I think going all the way to the 60 card piles that were popular in TCG not too long ago is a little overboard here, but we really do want to reduce drawing 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon as much as possible. So we have a 6 card Frightfur engine that includes 2 each of Frightfur Patchwork, Polymerization, and Edge Imp Chain. Poly is just a basic fusion spell that can be useful on occasion, just having it in hand. You fusion summon a Blue Eyes something or other. Boom. Easy. It's good. Just good to have. Edge Imp Chain is a discard and fusion material fodder, and if you use it that way, assuming it goes to grave, you can get Frightfur Patchwork to your hand, and then Frightfur Patchwork searches both of them. So if you draw the Frightfur Patchwork, you get 2 for 1. It's really good, but if you don't like playing 45 cards, I think this is a place to start cutting. Next, let's break down the branded part of the deck. This is mostly standard stuff, Of course, I say that right before I show you 2 Despian Tragedy. We're only playing 2 because it's a discard fusion material, but we already have tons of those. So we're kind of cutting back a little bit somewhere, and this is one of the ones we decided to cut back on. We have 2 Albaz. This is pretty standard. You don't want to draw it, but you do want to have at least 2, so we're playing 2. If I could play 1 and get away with it, I probably would, but I think 2 is probably where we want to be. We have 3 Aluber. This guy searches branded fusion, so we need to have 3 of him. We want as much branded fusion as possible. We have 1 copy of Dramaturge. This is fusion material because it gets it summoned to the field, and then it has a negate if you summon a fusion monster. It's pretty nice, a nice little 3k beater, although this deck is full of 3k beaters, so this is a place to cut if you want to. We have Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. This is a draw, basically, is what the idea behind it is. It's just a draw, and it sends the branded sword, and the branded sword can do stuff for us. It works. And here's Ad Libitum. Ad Libitum is a late game fusion material. It allows us to get a large fusion monster from our grave back onto the field. But you have to have something in there in the first place in order to use that effect. So I could see cutting this. It is useful, but sometimes it is very not useful. And sometimes I really wish I was drawing all gas instead of yet another brick, you know? For branded spell traps, we have the most important first, the branded fusion. The branded fusion sends the materials to grave, makes the Albaz fusion monster, also locks us into fusions for the turn, but we don't really care about that very much. Branded Loss protects our fusion summons and gets us the Albion, which allows us to send branded sword and draw a card. So it's just free advantage, basically. 3 branded opening equals 3 more copies of Aluber equals 3 more copies of branded fusion. It also discards, which we have so many discard cards to discard off of it that I think it's very good. Then we have Branded Sword, the 1 trap card that we play, which we could send off of Albion to get a banished card that mentions Albaz back to hand. This allows us to recycle more cards, most likely Albaz, but maybe the occasional fusion monster as well. Or if you get branded fusion banished somehow, you can get that back. This and Albion could maybe be cut potentially, but since you can search Albion off of Branded Loss, you might consider keeping it. Or, you know, maybe losing Branded Loss. I mean, I think the protection off of Branded Loss is good, but I could see not having it as well. Alright, now for the Blue Eyes cards. We start with 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon. Yes, we do need all 3. We have 2 of each stone. We have Whitestone the Legend and Whitestone the Ancients. Whitestone the Legend adds the Blue Eyes to hand. Whitestone the Ancients summons it in the end phase. This is what we're going to be sending off of Branded Fusion. Because if you send off a Branded Fusion, it summons in the end phase. And that's part of our end board. Next up is 3 Dictator of D. As I mentioned before, this guy is surprisingly useful. He can set up our grave, get us combo plays if we have a card in hand that mentions Blue Eyes to discard, and he lets us choose our opponent's attack targets, which, as I mentioned, has some use. He's just good. I don't know what to tell you. He's just good. We have 1 Dragon Spirit in white. Duel Links Moment. This card is actually pretty good. Like, just the ability to banish a spell card or a trap card, like, when you want, at least as long as you can summon it, is really useful. I would like to keep him at 1. I think he's actually good here. If you want to cut him, I guess go ahead, but I think he's very useful, actually. Then we have 2 Jet Dragons. I talked him up a lot. I still think you only play 2. You don't want to draw him very much. He's not super useful early game in the hand. Later in the game, he is useful in hand. But you're going to be able to get him off of Whitestone the Ancients, which is part of my standard end board. So, like, I don't want to draw him. But also, if you do draw him, you need to have him in deck so that Whitestone the Ancients can still get him. Whitestone the Ancients cannot summon from hand. So, you play 2. Lastly, we have 2 spells, 2 copies of Ultimate Fusion. I don't really want to see this very often, but if you draw one partway through a game, it can easily turn the tide of battle in your favor. So we're playing 2 of them. Now you might be wondering why I'm not playing True Light, and I just don't think the card is very good in a non-pure Blue Eyes deck. I don't even think it's particularly good in a Blue Eyes deck that's pure. I think it's okay. It's fine. It's like good on the verge of good, because it gets you the Blue Eyes back over and over and over again. But I feel like there's better cards that do that same thing. And if you don't have the room for all the kind of okay Blue Eyes support cards, like the Trap and the whatever, which we don't have any room for that. We just have the ultimate fusion. Then True Light becomes basically useless. I don't need to summon Blue Eyes for free. I have Branded Fusion, you know? Now let's cover the extra deck. In order, we have Titanclad and Brigand. These are sending off of Mirror Jade, but also you can summon them by sending a Blue Eyes. It turns out Blue Eyes is level 8 and has 2500 or more attack. Then we have Albion. You're making this off of Branded Fusion, and you're using it to fusion summon. Masquerade is a funny one. We can make this with Polymerization and any of the Despia monsters in hand. It's a good card. If you don't know how powerful this card is, you haven't played against it, the 600 life points really adds up after a while. We have the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. I've mentioned it before, just how powerful this card is, but it's also easy to summon. It only takes one Blue Eyes White Dragon and any dragon monster. Do you know how many dragon monsters we're playing? All the Blue Eyes are dragons, the stones are dragons, Albaz is dragon, all the fusions are dragons. We're drowning in dragons. Mirror Jade is the craziest branded boss monster available. It has a quick effect banish that sends extra deck monsters for its effect, and it has a Raigeki effect in the end phase if it leaves the field. Just a really good card. Next up is Lubellion, another card we're going to be summoning to fusion summon again because it has that effect. But this one discards, which also helps our discard fodder stuff work. It just works. It just works. We're going to be using this one to make Mirror Jade. Next up, we have two Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragons. Did you know that Master Duel doesn't have Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon? It's just not in the game yet. So instead of playing that one, which actually doesn't do a whole lot for us, I mean, it has some uses. It just has a pop on it, but it's not as good a pop because we don't play Alternative Dragon. We're playing two of this one. This is like the best Blue Eyes fusion beyond maybe Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. It's like a toss-up between the two, I think. But yeah, this guy is kind of crazy. It takes two Blue Eyes, can be made through contact fusion, which means if you have two Blue Eyes on the field, you can fuse them together without a polymerization. It gets 2 attacks, cannot be destroyed by battle, and if a monster attacks it and survives, like it's got a big number, so it survives the battle, but you know, obviously Twin Burst does as well, it gets banished. Just you banish the opponent's monster. So Twin Burst stays, their monster goes, and this also applies when you use Dictator of D to force your opponent to attack your Twin Burst. This is why Dictator of D is good, specifically because of Twin Burst Dragon. Next up, we have the classic Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This is here to be sent off of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon's effect, but if you happen to have a situation where summoning an effect monster might be bad, you can summon this instead. It has the same attack stat, it just doesn't have an effect. Now we have the ultimate monster, Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This card is crazy. It takes all 3 of our Blue Eyes White Dragons to make it. But once you do, it has 4,500 attack. It can attack up to 3 times by sending a Blue Eyes Fusion monster from the extra deck to the grave for extra attacks, which means you have to send 2 to get all 3. And then it also has an effect in grave to negate and destroy a card effect that targets a Blue Eyes monster, which can be useful. And additionally, you can send this card off of Mirror Jade. So if you need to protect your monsters for some reason, you can send this card off of Mirror Jade if you don't expect to be making it. Next up, we do have a couple of synchro monsters. We have Azure Eyes Silver Dragon, which protects dragons from being targeted or destroyed the turn it is summoned and the turn after, and can also summon a normal monster from the grave, like Blue Eyes or Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, which is treated as a normal monster in the grave. Think about it, won't you? And we have Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, which is one of the crazy cards that was made to make this archetype pop back in the day. It floodgates special summons of more than one monster at a time. Eat shit DDD, and can negate an effect in the grave once per turn. Eat shit every archetype ever. It could also tag out as a quick effect into Azure Eyes, which would destroy Azure Eyes, but the Azure Eyes protects itself from destruction that turn. See, it's almost like they designed it that way. These ones will only really come up rarely, but I think they're worth including because of how powerful they are. It may be hard to end up with a Blue Eyes on field and a stone to summon in order to make the one tuner and the one Blue Eyes to make the synchros, but I just think it's worth having them, just in the case that it does work out. We also have 2 Link monsters. This package is in case you don't draw any of your 9 ways to get to Branded Fusion. You can summon the Dictator of D, sending Blue Eyes, then summon the Blue Eyes by discarding a card that mentions Blue Eyes, use the Blue Eyes to make Link Spider, then you make Verte. And the Verte sends the Branded Fusion, which you can use to make Mirror Jade using the Verte and the Albaz that it sends for cost. And then voila, you've got a Mirror Jade for your end board. It's not great. You don't really want to be doing it. It's a very dire situation. And frankly, it's kind of an unlikely one because you have to draw Dictator of D and a card that mentions Blue Eyes, while also not drawing any of your Branded Fusion stuff. So like, it's not something that's going to come up very often. If you want to cut stuff, I think cutting the Synchro package or the Link package, or both, makes sense. But I think the Link package is the one that makes the most sense to cut. It's just there in case. And honestly, we could probably use some more. So like, if you are going to cut them, I would say add a Mirror Jade, add a Lubellion, maybe add an Albion, maybe add Quiritis, the other Despia fusion monster. But yeah, these ones are the most suspect. They're really just here in case. They're very much in case. And I think you can make that choice on whether you'd like to have the just in case scenario, or whether you'd like to have a little bit more fusion stuff in the tank. I'd also like to mention Super Polymerization as something to add to this deck if you're going to cut some of these cards. It's a very good card, works perfectly for this. I just don't really feel like my deck has any room for it. Additionally, I'm not playing the Dragooblion number dragon stuff because even though we make a whole lot of level 8s, I just fucking hate it. I don't like it. It's no good. I don't like it. It's boring. Boring. I don't like Lubellion. I think it's dull. It's just like boring Grand Maju, which is not where you want to be. But yeah, that's the deck. There's a lot of synergy between these two archetypes that I really can't wait to show off to you. So without further ado, let's get into the games. This game is going to show off the basic combo and how intimidating an end board we can make. So as you can see, this is a pretty good hand. We got the Dictator, we got the Branded Fusion, we've got discard fodder, we've got the Ultimate Fusion. We're going to Dictator D here, sending the Blue Eyes, summoning the Dictator D, we're going to activate the effect. Unfortunately, Whitestone of the Ancients does not count for Dictator of D's effect. It doesn't mention Blue Eyes, White Dragon, it mentions Blue Eyes. So we have to send the Ultimate Fusion because we already activated the effect. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're going to Branded Fusion, sending Whitestone and Albaz to make Albion. Albion effect will banish the Albaz and the Edgemp Chain. Unfortunately, Edgemp Chain does not activate here because it didn't go to the graveyard, but it is what it is. We'll make Lubellion. Lubellion will pitch the Whitestone, so that's 2 Whitestone triggers, by the way. We'll make Mirror Jade. Then we will end, in the end phase, we will trigger Whitestone of the Ancients, summoning Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. Everything is now protected from destruction. We'll trigger the other one, and our opponent will surrender. See how intimidating it is? We're just too powerful. See you in the next game. This game is going to show off a major weakness of the deck that might give it trouble in the current Master Duel format. So we start, and it's not a great hand. And then our opponent reveals what they are playing, and they have the Unexplored Winds. They've got the birds. They got all the birds they need. They got the Ryza. They got the M-Pen effect, Ryza effect, or Robin effect, Eaglin effect. They don't even care. They're just going everything. Now the reason why you'll actually see, they're not just being bad, they're actually doing this for a very specific reason. They grab the map off of M-Pen, they activate the barrier statue, and I realize, how do I beat barrier statue? But yeah, they're doing it this way so they can draw off of Unexplored Winds. Guarantee that is the trap card. And like, we draw an Edgemp Chain, but like, again, we can stop the barrier statue by going to battle phase. But what do we do after that? And then theoretically, we don't even get to do that because, you know, the moment we summon Edge of Chain, they contribute over it with Floowandereeze and the Unexplored Winds. So, like, this was a lost... Like, we can't normal summon. We have to set and hope we draw something off the top that we know we can't draw because we don't have anything to out this. How do we deal with Barrier Statue? We don't. How do we deal with Unexplored Winds? We don't. So, like, what do we do against Floowandereeze? Well, we go first and hope we can stop them? Like... I genuinely don't know what our game plan is against this deck. I don't think there's anything we can do. Any changes to the deck that can be made. Like, we can add Harpy's Feather Duster. Like, replace a card for Harpy's Feather Duster or just add it on top. We're already playing 45 cards. What's 46 cards at that point? But, like, that only deals with part of the problem. You know, we get rid of the spell traps. We normal summon Edge of Chain. We crash into the Barrier Statue. And then we can summon the Dictator of D, like go into polymerization and like make sure we summon something with enough. We can't because we can't even summon something with enough attack to deal with the M-Pen, because there's nothing with enough attack to deal with the M-Pen as long as we can't deal with its effects. So like, I don't know, we just don't have anything to do against this deck. So if you see Floowandereeze, I guess just go ahead and surrender, unless they're bricked. In that case, you got them. Now this one is a really good game. It's going to show off a lot of the strengths of the deck in the grind game. Let's go. I'm excited to show it off. Okay, so drawing for turn is a pretty good hand. Pretty good hand. Don't really care about the Max C. We're going first. Dictator of D, Branded Opening, Despian Tragedy, Blue Eyes White Dragon. So first up, we're going to Dictator D. If they're going to deal with us, we want them to deal with us now. We're going to Dictator D, pitching the Blue Eyes to summon the Blue Eyes. And yes, you can summon what you pitch as well. We're going to Branded Opening, pitching the Tragedy to summon a Luber. A Luber is going to search. Despian Tragedy is going to search. This also chain blocks the Aluber, so we get that Branded Fusion. We're going to grab Dramaturge Despia though, because they don't have no negates. We're going to Branded Fusion. We're going to activate the Branded Fusion. Sending Albaz and White Stone, making Albion effect, using the Dramaturge and the Albaz, which will activate the Dramaturge. We're going to make Lubellion, activate the effect, activate the Dramaturge. We're going to pitch the Max C, unfortunately, but we don't really need it at this point, but it could have been useful. Dramaturge. We're going to go into Mirror Jade, and unfortunately we don't have any space for the White Stone, so we're going to go ahead and activate the White Stone to get the Blue Eyes to hand, and we're going to Tribute Summon a Luber and Lubellion to summon the Blue Eyes and make Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. This is why we're playing the Dictator D, and we have that extra effect. It's so fucking cool, and it's so cool that we get to use our normal summon at the very end of our turn to summon the Blue Eyes and go into it. So they're going to fight for Patchwork. They're going to Super Poly, which is unfortunate. They're going to get rid of our Dramaturge and our Mirror Jade, which is a weird choice. I don't know why they went for those two. They're going to activate the effect of Starving Venom Fusion, and they're going to activate the Fiendish Rhino that they sent. We're going to activate our Dramaturge to summon it, and we're going to activate the Mirror Jade in Grave with the Raigeki effect. And we're going to activate the Aluber too, because why not? Aluber will summon itself. Mirror Jade will activate. Dramaturge will summon itself. Their Fiendish Rhino will summon itself, or activate its effect rather, and send the Cursed Necrofear, which will come up. They're going to activate this card. It's a very weird one. Keep an eye on it though. And they're going to Foolish Burial. They're going to activate the effect, but it is negated. We're going to go to battle phase. We're going to choose them to go into our Twin Burst in case they have any funny business. It turns out they don't have any funny business. They're going to use this effect to pop our field, but we do use the Branded Opening to keep our Twin Burst Dragon because it's the strongest member of our team right now. That's a fusion monster anyways. We're going to Despian Tragedy here to set the Branded Fusion. We drew the Ash Blossom off the top. That will come up. Branded Fusion, we are sending Albaz and another White Stone. We're going to activate the Albion We're going to banish those two to make Tyrant Dragon. Unfortunately, this trap does not target our guy, so it does get to activate. They're going to summon the Cursed Necrosphere. We're going to attack into it. If they had summoned it again, we would have had something. We'd be able to attack it again with Tyrant Dragon. So it is still optimal to attack with Tyrant Dragon here. In the end phase, we will activate the Whitestone the Ancient to summon the Dragon Spirit of White and banish that trap card so they don't get to summon anymore. However, the Cursed Necrosphere does get to activate because it was destroyed, and it will pop our Tyrant Dragon, which will let us get the Allure back in field. Just as fun little thing. They're going to activate Sabers here to get that on field. They're going to activate that. I forget that they stack their deck, so I don't Ash Blossom it. I should have Ash Blossomed it because I forgot that they got to stack their deck there so that they knew what would be on top of their deck. They're going to make Guardian Chimera, and they are going to chain block it with the Dark Spirit of Banishment, which means we cannot Ash that effect either. So they're going to pop a couple of our monsters here. Then they're going to walk over our Aluber. They're going to set one and pass. We draw for turn. We draw Max C, not really doing a whole lot, so we're going to go to defense position, and I think we're toast here. But we still have some possibilities. They're going to Tour Guide. Perfect. We're going to Max C. Yeah, get your summon, and I'm going to get a draw. They summon a Burning Abyss. I don't know what this deck is on. We're going to use the opportunity. They destroyed our Albion, so we get to summon the Aluber and the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. We drew off a Max C because the card was destroyed. So we get to have a 3000 and an 1800 come to the field. Albion's going to get us Branded Opening. We draw the Tragedy. Perfect draw. Branded Opening, pitching the Tragedy. Summon the Aluber. Aluber effect. Tragedy effect. We grab Aluber just for next turn. If there's a next turn, we grab the Branded Fusion. Not a whole lot left in our deck to Branded Fusion, but there is enough. We send these two. I forget that Ad Libitum doesn't activate if sent from deck. So I send it, and it does nothing. But we do activate the effect of the Ancient, Whitestone the Ancients, and Tribute Summon Dragon Spirit of White to get rid of that face down, which turns out to be a skill drain. We're going to activate the effect of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon here. They're going to activate this Dark Banishment guy. Dark Spirit of Banishment, that's the one. Which will destroy our Jet Dragon by summoning their Big Bungus, and they attack each other. But we still get to bounce that guy, and then we get to go into the Tour Guide with 1500, which is enough for lethal off of the Dragon Spirit of White. What a game! I love this game. It's the most fun I've had in a long time, and part of it was because of how cool this deck is. So yeah, this was a really good showing, and I'm glad I got to show it off to you. So that's the deck. This deck is so cool. Finally, a deck that features Blue Eyes and Blue Eyes fusions that's actually pretty playable. I adore it. The deck has a nice turn 1 board. It works well in the grind game and has the big bunguses that I crave so much. Unfortunately, it's not the best branded build. Of course, there's better branded builds out there. The deck kind of crumples to the floodgates, as you saw. If they stop us from special summoning, we have nothing. And we don't really have a whole lot of outs to spell traps beyond our monster effects, so stuff that stops the monster effects can also be a pain in our side. But, you know, that's the same thing a lot of decks have to deal with. A lot of decks don't like all that stuff, so, you know, maybe give this one a spin. If you already have the branded cards, this shouldn't be very expensive. The Blue Eyes are ultra rares, but they are in the legacy packs, so you probably have, and you probably have some from the starter deck too, so you probably have some of these already. So, you know, what else is there? There's the Jet Dragons. Those are URs, but you only need 2 of them. You don't even need Dragon Spirit or the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, so, like, don't even worry about it. The other stuff are SRs and below, so, you know, go out there, have some fun. it all seems pretty good to me, so you know, go give it a try. But yeah, good luck out there, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed that episode. This one was a favorite of mine. I really love this deck. Blue Eyes, branded, I love it. If you liked the video, how about you give it a like, a share, a subscribe? You can also ring the bell for notifications. If you want to follow me on Twitter or follow me on Twitch, you can do both and get more content and notifications when content happen, when I tweet out how the content does. You could also go to my Patreon if you want to give me money on a monthly basis. You can use my tip link if you just want to do a one-time thing. You can also go to my throne wish list and give me a gift if you like. Or you can go using my link to tcgplayer.com, use my affiliate link, and you can get singles, sealed product, or accessories, anything you want, while supporting the channel all at the same time. It's a deal for the ages. You could also check out all the other videos I do. I have a lot of pretty good decks if you like this kind of content. I also have baddie decks if you like TCG. And you know, other stuff like that. I have videos. I got videos. Come watch them. But yeah, with all that said, I'll see you in the next one. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and have a wonderful rest of whatever time it is for you. Bye bye.